Social engineering terminologies and techniques. Hackers, ethical hackers, or pen testers use social engineering tactics because it's usually easier to exploit people than it is to discover ways to hack the software. For example, it's much easier to fool someone into giving you their password than it is for you to try hacking their passwords. Social engineering is psychological manipulation of people into performing actions or divulging confidential information. The types of information that you seek can vary, but you usually try to trick the targeted victim into giving you their passwords or bank information or access to their computer to secretly install malicious software that will give you access to their passwords and sensitive information, as well as giving you control over their computers. You usually use the human relations and the inattentions of the people in social engineering attacks. If you have enough information about the company, send a phishing email to the victims as the employer instead of someone they don't know. You won't believe the results. In a social engineering attack, you get the best results if you use the fear and curiosity of the victims. Scare them. There is abnormal traffic from your computer to the others. It's probably a worm trying to spread. Have you ever visited a website that you shouldn't, or downloaded something that you shouldn't trust? Or make them curious. Prepare a CD, drop it next to the victim accidentally, and curiosity killed the cat. Let's explain why the human being is always under attack with the writings of Rick Ferguson, who's the Director of Security Research and Communications at Microsoft. People are always the weakest link in information security. You can deploy all the technology you want, but people simply cannot be programmed and can't be anticipated. As long as an attacker makes their delivery vehicle credible enough, a target is likely to click the link or open the file. The bugs in the human hardware are exploited in various combinations to create attack techniques, some of which are listed on this slide. Let's talk about the most famous techniques briefly. Shoulder surfing is simply the technique used to obtain confidential data such as PIN numbers and passwords by observing the information without getting the victim's attention. For example, by looking over the victim's shoulder. This attack can be performed either at close range by directly looking over the victim's shoulder, or from a longer range by, for example, using a pair of binoculars or similar hardware. Shoulder surfing is likely to be performed best in crowded places because it's easy to observe the information without getting the victim's attention. Dumpster diving, also known as trashing, is another popular method of social engineering. It's briefly looking for valuable things in someone else's waste bin. A huge amount of information can be collected through company dumpsters. Company phone books, organizational charts, company policy manuals, calendars of meetings, events and vacations, system manuals, printouts of sensitive data or login names and passwords, printouts of source code, etc. All of this information can be used to assist a social engineering attack to gain access to the target company's network. The dictionary meaning of tailgating is to drive too closely behind another vehicle, but as a social engineering attack technique, tailgating is seeking entry to a restricted area secured by unattended electronic access control, for example, by an RFID card. In this technique, you simply walk in behind a person who has legitimate access. Following common courtesy, the legitimate person will usually hold the door open for you, or you yourself may ask the employee to hold it open for you. The legitimate person may fail to ask for identification for any of several reasons, or may accept an assertion that the attacker has forgotten or lost the appropriate identity token. You may also fake the action of presenting an identity token or the action of looking through your pockets to find your identity token. During this course, we will see phishing in detail. For now, let's just talk about the concept. In a phishing attack, typically the attacker sends an email that appears to come from a legitimate business, a bank, a credit card company, requesting verification of information and warning of some terrible consequences if it's not provided. The email usually contains a link to a fraudulent web page that seems legitimate, with company logos and content, and has a form requesting everything from a home address to an ATM card's PIN or a credit card number.